Response time to 4. You 1,465 hours. That's more along the lines of how long I've played Final Fantasy XIV for. Bearing in mind, for like 50% of my time, probably more than that actually, I've been playing it not on Steam. How long have I got it on Steam for? If I go to my library, I go to RPGs. Is it in RPGs? No. Just in my uncategorized. Is it just not installed at the moment? It might just not be installed at the moment. Oh, search. So Final Fantasy XIV on Steam. So this is not including all of the time that I've played it, not on my one that I had for Steam. Which again, I only had it on Steam when I was playing the original base game on one of my 3 accounts. I've played 2,195.4 hours on Steam. So if we take the fact that I had 3 accounts, so that's minimum 6,000 hours. Then the fact that one of my accounts, I played the second expansion, which is another 2,000 hours roughly. If we're assuming that it's all the same, so that's at 8,000 hours. And then if we add the other 4 expansions on top on my main account, with the one that I had already counted, because I played that on my second account, we're looking at like 15,000 hours. Roughly? It's a lot of time. Obviously that's like an assumption based on the fact that I don't normally play it on Steam. I did that for one account, in which I just played the base game. I've played a lot of that game, I really enjoyed it. And that's not even the game that I'd say I've played the most of. On the GameCube, I had a game that I played for many, many years called Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, which was a remake of Phantasy Star Blue Burst, specifically for the GameCube. I loved that game, it's amazing. Never finished it, because it's got so much in it, that I got a character to like level 150, bearing in mind max level is 200. I got to level 168, sorry, and I got to the first area in the ultimate mode of like 6 areas. And I must have, I think the last time I checked, I had like, was it like 168 days of playing? Or something? And it's like, that's almost an entire year of just playing this game. That's like half a year of just playing that game on one character. I had multiple characters. And I was like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. I played this game for a lot. Yeah, it doesn't look like it'll let me pick these up. Okay. Well, if I can't complete this game because it won't let me take that flower, and it won't let me not have a broken butterfly net, then I guess I will just have a lovely fly around. Whee! Da, da, da. Because one of the achievements that I think I can get is fly for 5,000 meters. Which if I just sort of fly around for as long as I can. Lovely whistly wind noise. To be fair, you wish you had a game like this again. most played game is GTA 5 with combined 4,000 hours. You're sick of that game. Yeah. Like, genuinely, I still own my GameCube. I still own my copy of Phantasy Star. I still play it occasionally. I have since made a new character. So it will take me another, like, year to get to the end of the game. But I still really enjoy it. It's my big nostalgia game where I'm like, I log in and the game is made of polygons. The music is frankly still amazing, but it's very, like, of the time. The controls are very basic. And, like, the character, like, not gonna lie, best parts of that game, music is amazing. The fact that I have massive nostalgia for it passes me up on the fact that the combat system is very sparse and the, like, controls themselves are a bit janky. There's no jump. There's just, like, a lot of features that regular games now wouldn't even think twice about including that just aren't in that game, because how would you go about doing that when you're using most of the buttons for having a customizable hotbar of attacks? Like, legitimately, it's A, X, and B, and then holding R, A, X, and B, and that's your hotbar of attacks that you can customize as you want in the menu. So you could have, like, fire magic, second level fire magic, third level fire magic, attack, heavy attack, and a healing item on your hotbar. And that's just like, yep. For a GameCube game, it's pretty good. But yeah, the music was amazing. The gameplay is just big nostalgia for me. Like, it's not good gameplay, but I love it because it's massive nostalgia. And just, like, the second I hear any music that sounds like it, I want to play it. Is how badly that music's hooked me. Like, there are specific riffs in some of the music that are very, like, sci-fi orientated, but as soon as I hear something that sounds similar in any game, I'll be like, oh, that sounds like that song. I want to play that game now. I want to play Phantasy Star again because it sounds like Trick Track. It's just like, yep, can't escape it. But yeah, the character creator, for its time, phenomenal. Legitimately, you had, like, an RGB scale for doing hair colour, and then, like, 20 odd different costume options. Bearing in mind your character was either male or female based on what specific class you picked. Oh, someone playing Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. Yeah, GameCube is just awesome. Can never complain about a good GameCube game. But yeah, Phantasy Star is one of my big nostalgia games. And I love it. I genuinely love it. It's a great game. And now talking about it, I want to play it again. If I could stream it, I would make a new character and stream it. I have no idea what I would need to even get to be able to stream that game. Short of me filming my TV screen as I play it, I'm like, no. Or, like, maybe if I set up some kind of emulator. Would there be an emulator that I could find? That could be good. Oh, I'm now thinking of ways that I could potentially stream that game. It wouldn't fit in either Card Game Wednesday or Mouse Monday. But just, like, playing it again. Just playing it again. Maybe it's possible to emulating it. Maybe. I do know people have played it on stream, so I do know it is possible to do so. I just don't know how they went about it. But yeah. The other weird topic points about Phantasy Star is obviously when Phantasy Star 2 came out. Sorry, so Phantasy Star Episode 1 and 2 was a recreation of Phantasy Star Blue Burst, which was on the Dreamcast, but for GameCube. That's the one that I'm used to. That's the one that I grew up with. That's the one that I was like, this game is my favourite game of all time. I love it. We'll never find a better game. And I still haven't. I would argue that Final Fantasy XIV is probably up there with it, where it's just like, no, actually, okay, this is an MMO that is good enough that I'm like, when I'm hankering to play a really good RPG game, I can play Final Fantasy XIV. But then Final Fantasy XIV is better with other people. Whereas I can just play Phantasy Star on my own. Of course it is better with other people, but it was never really properly an online game because it was on GameCube. And doing online on GameCube was an absolute nightmare. So I never really played it online. So for me it was an MMORPG that was never an online game. So it was just an RPG with so much freedom to it that I could then also play with friends, and they could all have their own characters on my save game cartridges. I did a bit of a leap there. But yeah. So that was Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, which was the remake of Blue Burst. Or the port of Blue Burst, I guess, technically. But then they made Phantasy Star Online Episode 3, which was a card game. It was like a Yu-Gi-Oh style, like all of the classic monsters from Phantasy Star Blue Burst are now cards, and you walk around with a handful of cards, and you go into like a battle grid, and you play your cards onto the battle grid, and then you make your monsters attack. That's my best remembering of that game. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's what I remember of that game. Didn't enjoy it as much. Obviously there were still some elements of like, it's still Phantasy Star, so I still like a lot of the stuff and it reminds me of Phantasy Star, but every time I played it I was like, wish I was playing the other one though, because it's not quite the same. And then they made an announcement that Phantasy Star Online 2 was going to happen, and it was going to actually be an MMO for the PC. And I was immediately like, yes, when can I get this? And they released it as a beta, as an open beta, and I got into the open beta and I played it for like a week and then went on holiday. And when I came back from holiday, I found out they localized it to Japan only. So I then couldn't play it anymore. And the beta had finished, so I couldn't log into my account anymore. So I just couldn't play it. And that made me incredibly sad. Years later, they then actually released it to all countries. And it doesn't quite feel the same. But it's like, the reason it doesn't quite feel the same is because it's not as janky and kind of rubbish. Like, they've actually like updated all the graphics, because obviously you would. They've given like more functionality of like, they've made it like it's part MMO, part like hack and slash. Which I guess there is elements of that in the GameCube version, in episode 1 and 2. But it's so like janky and bad that the hack and slash elements just feel like you're doing hotkeys in an MMO. Where it's like, yes, you technically combo by going like, press this button to attack, press it again when the attack finishes, press it again when the attack finishes. And like timing that means you combo it. But it was so janky and bad, it was just like, this is just me doing a hotbar activation and like timing it right so that the cooldown doesn't happen, which felt good. But then in Phantasy Star Online 2, they added a bunch of they made it graphically more interesting. It was very cool to look at, and the character customization was really good. They kept a lot of the elements, but they added so much more so that you weren't locked to a specific gender for a specific character. If you wanted to be human using swords, like Humar, which was the human ranger, human fighter, I can't remember what they actually called it. I think it was called human hunter, so it's a hunter male ranger, I think is what Humar stood for. Or male recruit? I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, the character creation was broken down into hunters, rangers, and force. Force were the magic users, rangers were the gun specialists, and hunters were all-rounders, where it's they kind of focus on close combat, but they can also use some of the guns, and then they can also use some of the magic. Obviously, some of the rangers could also use magic, but their magic was more limited than the hunters was. And obviously, the force could use some of the guns, but it was literally you can use the pistol, and you have to be higher level than you would have to in the other classes to use the pistol, because you're not specialised to use weapons. You've got your own set of weapons that boost your magic, so better for you to just be using magic, in all honesty. But yeah, there were 4 options in each of those ranges. So Hunter had 2 male, 2 female. One of the male and one of the female were robots, so couldn't use any magic, but could use traps, which were you place them, they have a tick down, and then they explode to do an effect. They were confusion, paralysis, or damage, or frost traps. Those were your options. Confusion traps were hilariously fun, because it makes the enemies just randomly hit in directions, and they can hit their allies. It's very fun just to watch a bunch of put a trap down in a big group, lure them all together, and then watch the trap go off, and then they all just start rioting at each other and just all start attacking each other. It was always funny to watch. But yeah, and then the non-robots obviously could use magic, and there was a male and female hunter that were human and could use some magic. Again, in the Rangers, there were male and female humanoids. I think they were elves, or at least the female one looked like an elf. No, was that the Force? The Force had the elves. Yeah, there were humanoid male and female rangers, and then there were robot male and female rangers. Again, the robots could only use traps, couldn't use magic, but the rangers were more focused on guns anyway, so it was a bit okay, actually the rangers that are robots are actually really good because they can automatically spot traps, and their focus on guns is more specific. Each character... Sorry, finish off that before I go on to the next thought. The Force also had 2 male, 2 female, one of which were elves, who focused more on getting the stronger magic quicker, and then the humans who were just more focused on mana retention or cost of spells and that sort of thing, because each character class that you could pick from, so this was the male human hunter was a class, the female human hunter was a class, the male robot hunter was a class, the female robot hunter was a class. Each of those classes has their own specific slight differences. So there was obviously a way that you could be really focused towards doing a specific thing. But when I was young, I didn't really care, so I just made a really generic character, and I played through the majority of the game with just this really generic character. Who then later in my life I got rid of, because... Nope. And I have since more recently made a newer character to represent myself. And be a little bit more specialised into doing something specific. I also have no idea how close I am to getting this achievement. Sorry, the reason I'm just running in circles and then hand gliding all the way back down is because that's the only achievement I think I can still get. We've got like 30 minutes left of stream, so I can just keep ranting about Phantasy Star while gliding around. But yeah, so you had each of the classes, and they each kind of had their own slight specialization towards. Because obviously, like, hunters were more close combat, rangers were more ranged, force were more magic based. But then within that, like, the female human mage had more mana retention, so like their mana recovery was better. But the female elf mage had, force, call them mages, they're force users, had better spell attack damage, I want to say. It was, no, maybe hers was the mana recovery. And the female humans was like an actual, like the MP pool was bigger. So it was just like you have more magic to cast spells with earlier than you would with the other ones. But yeah, so it was cool. It was a very cool game. But then obviously when they went into Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star Online 2, which was the actual like MMO, they made it more like you pick this class, and then when you've picked this class, you can be male or female, and you can pick your, like, you can customize your character from there. And there's no real stat difference for gendering, which is very good, because that was always a weird thing where it's like, okay, you've made this thing, and I don't really understand why you've gendered it, but when I'm young, I don't really care. And then when I'm older and realise why, I'm like, or realise that it's a thing, I'm like, oh, not quite as happy about it, but I guess it's what happens at this time. So yeah, that was a thing. And did I just land on top of a tree? Weird. But yeah, so there was like the actual gameplay for Phantasy Star Online 2 had more like hack and slash elements rather than just flat this is an MMO. Like if it had been the same control system as Phantasy Star, as Final Fantasy XIV, where it's just like this is an MMO, you've got hotbar options. Yes, some of them combo into each other, but it's not a like timing thing while you're dodging, which is what I didn't like about Final Fantasy XIII, where it's like you've got the battle system where you've got to be doing attacks and spells and all of this while also dodging all the enemies because you're meant to still be running around. And it's like, oh, I mean, I wanted an RPG, not a hack and slash game. If I wanted a hack and slash game, I would have bought a hack and slash game, not an RPG. And Phantasy Star Online 2 did more of that, where it's like, yeah, you've got your hotbar of skills, and there's not a huge amount of skills on there because Phantasy Star never did this. But while you're doing your skills, you're also meant to be dodging and also, like, actually, like, targeting with your skills and with your attacks. Because if you miss them, you miss them. And, like, knockback is a thing now. Rather than in Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, knockback was based on, do they hit you for a big chunk of your health? Cool, you get knocked down, and your character then stands back up on the same spot. So you've then got time getting out of the way of the next move, because otherwise they will just knock you down again. And then you'll have to get back up. Yeah, it really shows that I played the game for a very long time. Yeah, it really does. I can just have like a full rant about it. There are other games that I can do a full rant about that I've also played for a very long time, but that I'm actually genuinely passionate about Phantasy Star, because I was like, it was my nostalgia, it was my favourite, and they ruined it on multiple occasions. Like every time they tried to remake it and make it again, or make a new one, or make a different one, I just didn't like it as much. I just like the classic. I just like the good old one. Like, I want to try playing Blue Burst and see if it's, like, one-to-one identical as... Because I'm pretty sure, like... There are skill calculators for this game online. Bearing in mind it wasn't an online game. It's not an MMO. You're not competing against anyone. There are multiple skill calculators for this game. And, like, ways to complete some of the quests to get hidden rewards and that sort of stuff. Like, proper... old school JRPG MMO stuff for this game that wasn't made to be played online. That's why I love it so much, because it's just like, this was an MMO that you just couldn't have internet functionality for, because a GameCube just didn't really let you do that. And it did, it was just so janky that it's like, you can try and play this online. And sometimes it might work. And sometimes you'll get like 2 seconds in and it'll just crash for no reason. It's like, oh, I'll stick to playing offline. I don't want my memory card to just be broken for no reason. That would be great. But yeah, I realise I should stop just doing this weird little loop that I'm doing. I'm just trying to get the miles. I'm just trying to get the miles on my glider. I should have got it by now, though. I haven't seen the achievement pop up, but I should have flown more than 5,000 meters. Don't tell me that's another achievement that's broken and I can't complete it. Whee, one set of stairs left. You tried your first JRPG last week. It's Octopath Traveler. This game is pretty good. Yeah, Octopath Traveler was good. I only played a little bit of that, but I should play more. But yeah, JRPG MMOs were like... You see them in isekais a lot, like isekai animes, where it's just like, oh yeah, the character, the main character just... by logging in was gifted a thing by the devs that then makes them an OP character. It's that sort of thing where it's like, yeah, you just logged in and you were lucky with it. So they gifted you a thing that was a completely hidden thing that they were just giving to one player and you got it. And that now means that you've got a stat boost. That means if you become like a really avid gamer of this game, really avid player of this game, you're going to stomp. It felt like that, where it's like there are like secret hidden things and stuff like that, and ways you could like optimize your character to be like, cool, I'm now getting 100% out of this game. And I got to the point where I learnt exact hitboxes of enemies so that I could like do a 2 centimeter sidestep and not get hit by specific enemies. And just be like, I know how big my hitbox is. It's invisible, but I know how big my hitbox is. Because I know how big every character in this game is. And the hitbox is big enough that it's for the specific character. So I know how big my hitbox is. And that means that in the jankiness of this game, I can like walk past an enemy, and things like if you opened up the start menu, it would mean that you didn't target things as you walked. So that there was like an automatic targeting system in Phantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2 that meant like while you're walking along, the game will try and lock on with whatever skill you have on your hotbar to whatever thing is nearby. So if you had like your basic attack on your hotbar. You don't know what isekai animes are. Isekai animes are the like, I'm the hero who got transported to this fantasy world and it's basically a game. That's stuff like Sword Art Online is the most well-known isekai anime. It's the whole trope of I got teleported to a different world and now I get to play in a fantasy universe. But a lot of those are based on I'm a person in the real world who got really into this game and now I'm living in the game world, and I just suddenly wake up in the game world. That's a common trope for isekai anime. But yeah, Sword Art is the typical... They're all in a game, and then the game becomes their real life because they all get trapped there. It's like, oh, yeah, fair. Notably, one of the biggest isekai animes of all time, or one of the earlier isekai animes of all time, well before Sword Art Online, is called Dot Hack, which is based on Phantasy Star, the game. So the game that I've been talking about has an anime based on it that then got its own MMO. There is a Dot Hack MMO. I've never played that one. I don't know how that plays. But Dot Hack the anime is based on Phantasy Star, which I always find hilariously funny. And I would argue that Dot Hack is basically, especially Dot Hack, is it Sign? No, it's not Sign. Sign is the first one. Oh, what was it called? What's it called? I'm going to have to look it up. Give me a second. You've got me on... I've gotten myself on a really proper rant now. I've been going for like an hour on this rant about Phantasy Star. Oh, what was it called? It's one of the Dot Hack series. No, I definitely don't mean the hack. I definitely don't mean that. Dot hack sign, dot hack infection. Dot hack GU. Oh, why can I not find it? I'm going to have to open up the images and have a look. I found the characters in what appears to be some kind of film called Dot Hack Legend of the Twilight. But I'm now like, what was the main series called? Oh, Dot Hack Quantum appears to be like a spin-off from the series that I'm trying to find. Dot Hack Legend is the manga. What was the anime series called? Was it just called Dot Hack Sign? It keeps coming up under Dot Hack Sign, but I swear it had its own name for that specific series. Dot Hack Legend of Twilight. Maybe it was just Dot Hack Legend of Twilight? It might just be Dot Hack Legend of Twilight. Yeah, I guess it was just called Dot Hack Legend of the Twilight. Slightly chibi-ish isekai anime, based around fantasy, literally based on Phantasy Star. You haven't really watched any animes. 2 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen and season 1 of Kaiju 8. Both good animes. Not gonna lie, if you want anime recommendations, I could definitely give you plenty. Especially if those are the sort of thing you like watching. I could definitely give you plenty of recommendations of like things that are similar to those. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, Phantasy Star, Dot Hack, Sign, and Legend of Twilight, and Quantum, and whatever the other one's called, were all based on Phantasy Star. And then they got their own set of games based on them that were more like story-driven RPGs in the world of the anime, but the anime was in the world of was like loosely based on Phantasy Star, where it's like, okay, the way they make characters in the anime is basically the same as Phantasy Star, but all the like world building for this world that they end up in is not Phantasy Star. It's gone a slightly more fantasy-esque, because Phantasy Star, the game, is sci-fi. It's very sci-fi, like you're agents on a spaceship and you're walking around with laser swords and laser guns, and that's why their magic system is called Force, because it's mildly Star Wars related. It's not, it's just generic sci-fi stuff. It's very Star Wars related in general. You're not big show watchers. You only saw them because a friend shared their Crunchyroll account with you to watch them. Fair. That is fair enough. Like, you don't have to do things you don't want to. My brain is just like, I'm a big anime watcher, I'm a big manga reader, I'm a big game player. If that makes sense. I'm a nerd. That's basically where I'm going with all of that. What's the outside? Don't know what you're talking about. I live inside my little burrow with all of my weird little hobbies. I don't think I'm getting this achievement. I think I've flown this route enough to realise that I'm not getting this achievement, so I'll make this my last little flight. Yeah. That's... My rant has kind of fizzled out. I've kind of mentioned it all. Phantasy Star. Online episode 1 and 2. Fantastic game. You're a game player too. Welcome back from the outbreak, everybody. I'm probably making this my last little flight. Sorry that I'm literally coming back from the outbreak and then going and looking for someone to raid. But it's gotten to the point where I've realised that I can't do any of the other achievements in this game because they've all bugged. So I would have to reset the game entirely to complete them all. But it's been very fun. I've really enjoyed this game. The Kind Camomille. Very fun game. Let's do another little... back in my little pink coat. Yeah. It's a fun game. I recommend anyone try it out. It was very cheap and it is very good.